Hey guys, here for another. I finished it, and this one is. I saw that the Amazing Spider-Man. I think I had done a run all the way up through most of. Um, Crap. Of course, I'm blanking on his name. There we go. Nick Spencer. Thank goodness. Nick Spencer's storyline. I got through most of it talking about that. It ended it ended in pretty exciting fashion. I actually like what people are doing now with these like self-contained storylines, but it's like a magnum opus of types, like where like the run is like 75, 100 issues or whatever. And, the stories separately can be self-contained, but it's like entirely encompassing one thing, and it's usually one artist or excuse me, one writer with the creative direction that's driving the entire story the entire time. I actually like that idea. And that way, it's finite, it's in and out, but not in and out in like, 5 or 6 months. It usually is going to take a few years for the storyline to open and breathe and develop. And I think Nick Spencer had a very, very exciting run on Amazing Spider-Man. And after that, on the tails of that came a storyline about the Beyond Corporation. And it started out very, very interesting because they mentioned that Ben Reilly was going to be in the book. And if you don't know, Ben Reilly is the original clone of the Amazing Spider-Man. And Lord knows the Clone Saga was hella detailed. And a very quick run through, like way back. This was like right around the time that we started recording Crusader Chronicles, now Amazing Spider-Man Chronicles, where Spidey found out that he had a clone, had a pitched battle, and wound up, it looked like the clone died. He threw the clone in the smokestack. Years later, found out that the clone actually hadn't died, and there's this whole clone saga, which in Amazing Spider-Man world was almost seen as poison. Like, I wouldn't say it almost killed the character, because it's Spidey. As long as Marvel's around, Amazing Spider-Man is going to be around, period. But it absolutely did not help at all, because the 90s and the Marvel towards the end of the 90s almost went completely bankrupt, and this story could not have helped because it started, sales spiked, the editors wanted to keep it going, and the writers didn't, but the editor said, well, keep it going or you're fired. So they kept it going. It was a whole big convoluted mess that wound up, it was so messed up that they actually had to revive Norman Osborn to bring him back into the fold, to say he was the one behind this whole convoluted mess for it to even make any sense at all. Like, that's how messed up it was. But it did give us a character, Ben Reilly, and Ben Reilly was, he's literally Peter Parker, but Peter Parker who has led a different life and had different circumstances. Well, fast forward to today. Like, the dude has been through a lot. During the Dan Slott run of Amazing Spider-Man, he brought back Ben Reilly, and Ben Reilly basically started reviving a lot of people with that clone technology. And it's worth mentioning, especially once I get to the end, it's worth mentioning that Ben Reilly had, like, he had not passed away during that Clone Saga storyline. The Jackal, like, basically resurrected him from cells and had this thing where he kept, he would kill him and revive him and kill him and revive him, just trying to figure out why and how it happened. He was literally like a laboratory animal, which, can you imagine, like, if you were alive and killed and revived and alive and killed and revived, alive and killed and revived over. This happened to Ben Reilly, and he lost it, and he actually escaped, killed the Jackal, became the new Jackal for a time, and started creating clones and stuff of his own. That happened in the Dan Slott run. And so, as heroes do, he sort of reformed and got better, because at the core, again, he's Peter Parker. And so he had his own adventures and everything, actually his own book, Scarlet Spider, for a little bit, or Ben Reilly, Scarlet Spider, and had his run sort of doing stuff in Vegas. And anyway, this storyline brings him back to New York. The Beyond Corporation storyline brought him back to New York, and he was kind of fighting on Spidey, and the storyline starts where they're fighting the UFOs at, I think, NYU, New York University. fictional university, and they fought the UFOs, and Ben Riley was being sponsored by the Beyond Corporation. The Beyond Corporation said, okay, you are Spider-Man. And that's how the storyline started. You're Spider-Man, and like we have trademarked it and everything. You are Spider-Man, not this other dude. And so Ben Riley was actually coming to Peter Parker to say, yeah, man, so I'm the guy now. Sorry. And obviously the real Spider-Man was like, no, you're not. What are you talking about? But they went and fought the UFOs, and one of the UFOs has radioactive powers and blasted them both with it. The suit that Ben Riley had was protected and shielded against radioactivity. Spider-Man in his normal togs was not, and he got severe radiation poisoning. So he was out. So this was a Ben Riley storyline, and it was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And as it turns out, I mean, heck, I'm really just describing about the first 2 issues of this run. As it turns out, there were many twists and turns as to who the Beyond Corporation was. 2 of the main guest stars were Misty Knight and, why am I going to forget the other daughter of the dragon? Son of a gun. Blanking on her name. Misty Knight and the other daughter of the dragon. And they were training Ben Riley, but at the same time, they were kind of hired to spy on him by someone else. I won't say who, if you want to read the storyline. And the Beyond Corporation was not quite what they seemed either. So that was interesting. And then as it turns out, and it seems like this is just a character arc for poor Ben Riley. Like he was kind of being manipulated the whole way. He was trying to do the right thing, but he was trapped in a very bad circumstance. And the end of this storyline leaves him forever transformed. And that's something that you hear a lot of times as a plot device when it comes to these things. But he was forever transformed. And it remains to be seen what they're going to do with that storyline, but it's wide open. They explained at the end of the storyline that one of the reasons that they transformed him like they did is because as of right now in Marvel continuity, there are 2 characters with the name of Spider-Man. There is Peter Parker and there is Miles Morales. Neither of them going anywhere, and so they had to do something with Ben Riley, and so they did. And it happened in a character arc that was very, very similar to what you would expect from Ben Riley. Just, he tried to do the heroic thing, but it just kind of ended tragically. Kind of feel bad for the guy. He's just one of those guys. It's like that saying goes, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. My dude's probably in hell, and he had good intentions the whole way. It was a fascinating arc. If you want to go check it out, I guarantee you could probably pick it up relatively soon if you're into Marvel Unlimited. The storyline's probably going to be making its way into Marvel Unlimited because I hear they're about 6 months behind. It's a storyline worth checking out.